it's Maddie. It's been a long time since I've done a book talk, so today we're here to discuss The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. It's been getting a lot of hype in the booktube community and just the book community in general. It's been hyped up since before it came out, and I think it came out in February of this year, and everybody saw this cover and was like, this cover is doing it right. I was drawn in by the cover. I don't even think I looked at the description. I bought this because of the cover and because I had seen Andrea from Little Yellow Bookshop rave about how much she loved this. Upon seeing her video, I decided to buy The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. It's about a girl named Mare, and in the world she lives in, people are divided by their blood. You either have silver blood or red blood, and Mare is of red blood. Those with silver blood have abilities. They can control water or fire, or in special cases, electricity. And then the reds are just the lower people in society. They don't have abilities. They're normal humans like you and me. See, I have red blood, so I would not have abilities. I would not be of noble birth. I would just be normal, and I would probably be condemned to working in a shop for the rest of my life, or going to the war if I didn't have an apprenticeship. If you have silver blood, you are rich and powerful usually, and like you're noble, and you don't have to worry about working or going and fighting unless you want to go and fight, but you don't even really fight. Mare lives in this world, and she is a red, and by some circumstances she finds herself working in the palace. Chaos ensues. I don't want to say much more because I don't want to ruin it. I went into this book not knowing what was going to happen, and I wasn't surprised about what happened to her, because what happens to her usually happens to a lot of protagonists in YA books, but I was still like, oh, okay, I didn't expect this. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, or a 90%, because I really did enjoy the story. Though I had some minor issues with it, I felt like this book was drawing pieces from a lot of different books. I felt a lot of Hunger Games things in this, and I don't want to be the person who compares every book to the Hunger Games, because I cannot stand it when that happens. There was a rebellion going on. They said something like every revolution needs a spark, or sparks can burn, or something, and it reminded me a lot of the Hunger Games. The abilities that the Silvers had reminded me a lot of the Grisha and Shadow and Bowen, because they were like the higher level people. It felt really Game of Thrones to me, but I don't know if that's because I just recently started watching Game of Thrones and I love it. That was probably why I thought of Game of Thrones a lot. There's a queen in this book, and her name is Queen Alara, and the whole time I was reading it, I could not stop envisioning Cersei Lannister. Everything that this character was doing was so her. She was manipulative, and she made people do things that they didn't want to do, but she did it because she was the queen. It worked really well because I love Game of Thrones, and so it made me really like this book, but I kept imagining other characters as characters from Game of Thrones. I didn't want that because the characters, they don't look alike at all. I don't remember the descriptions very well, but I don't remember Cersei looking like Alara. I also started envisioning someone as Joffrey, but I'm not going to say who that is because it spoils a lot. Then I imagined her husband as Robert Baratheon. One thing I really enjoyed about this book was the powers and the different abilities that the Silvers had. There were a lot of them, and I want to see them explored further in the coming books. I believe this is going to be a trilogy like most young adult books, but I want to see these powers explored further. We learned about people who can control fire, water, mines even, and people who are really strong, who can do stone, and then there were even more that we hadn't really discovered or delved into, and I would really like to see the reasoning behind this. I went into this book thinking it was a dystopian. I got into it and I was like, wait a second, this isn't, it's not, I felt like it was written like a dystopian, which is weird because like what does written like a dystopian mean? I don't know. It feels like it has aspects of dystopian, and that's so weird because it doesn't really, because there's no super advanced technology, there's not been an apocalypse, but it was fantasy. One of the things I really want in the next book is a map. I think there is going to be a map with the next one. We get a map to describe all of the different lands in the place she lives. What is the place she lives? Also, look at this. It is beautiful. Wait, are those the house crests? They are house crests. And then look at this cover. It's a really plain and simple cover, but it gets to the point. It's got the silver and the red blood, and it makes so much sense now. The movie rights were picked up, but Elizabeth Banks is in talks to direct it. I'm really interested to see how she does it, how she handles the darker-ish subject matter. It took me about a week to finish reading this book. I wasn't really into it in the beginning. I had just finished either Eleanor and Park or Just One Day. Both of those are kind of heavy contemporary books, and I wanted to break out of contemporary because I had read like 4 contemporary in a row. The last 100 pages went by so fast. I sat there, I think I read them in like an hour. It was really intense. There's a plot twist that I didn't see coming, and I have many angry words. I was just so interested and captivated, and I wanted to know what was going to happen. The world in this book, I want to see it more developed and defined in the next book. Overall, I did really enjoy this book. It probably wasn't my favorite fantasy book that I've ever read, but I did really enjoy it, and I definitely will be picking up Glass Sword, the sequel. I think it comes out next spring. I'm sure the sequel is going to be even better because we're going to get more character development and world development and just plot development because we have a rebellion going on here. We have a war and a rebellion going on at the same time, so we're either going to have to resolve this war to start another one, or the king and queen are going to be having two different wars on their hands at one time. And I don't think that's going to work. That's not a really stable thing for a kingdom. If you have not read The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, I would suggest that you do. You go read it and then you come back and we can discuss all the spoiler parts. There are some things that I really want to talk about that I can't talk about with you if you haven't read it. So, bye! We're going to go in backward order and we're going to talk about that ending because, So Maven. I hardcore shipped Mare and Maven from like the beginning. I didn't like Cal. He's not gonna be the one for her. There's just something, he's too charming. I thought I had heard something about a betrayal and I was like, oh gosh, Cal's gonna betray her. The whole time she was in the palace getting to know Cal and Maven, she was finding more out about Cal's personality and how he enjoyed war and he enjoyed the suffering and he enjoyed the torture. And I was like, oh, gross, gross. Oh, he's gonna betray her. It's foreshadowing the betrayal. But nope, nope, nope. It was Maven. Maven the whole time. He was a jerk from the start and I should have seen it. I should have seen through the kind guy facade, but I didn't because I wanted her to fall in love with the kind guy. And she started to do it. She started to fall in love with him, but she also had feelings for Cal, so I was like, come on, resolve the love triangle. It's resolved unless we have a Darkling Alina thing going on here where he tries to pursue her still, even afterwards, but oh, this is who I started to imagine as Joffrey Baratheon. The whole time, I didn't really have a clear vision of what Cal or what Maven looked like in my head, and so I was just kind of like, they're floating entities, they're there, they're characters, they're speaking words. By the end, he was Joffrey because he was like, my mother! And then he enjoys the torture. Like, he enjoyed watching them fight each other in the arena, and he was like, kill each other! Like Joffrey is, and it was so weird, and I kept seeing Game of Thrones parallels, and I don't know if that was intentional. The Game of Thrones parallels made me so happy because I really love Game of Thrones, and all this time I was like, Cersei, Joffrey. I started to envision Mare as Sansa Stark, but more hardcore and into her beliefs and herself. When she was like, I'm Lady Marina of House Titanos, I kept imagining Sansa being like, I'm Sansa Stark of Winterfell, and I'm in love with King Joffrey. I love him. He's the love of my life. I'm Lady Marina of House Titanos. I'm engaged to Maven. He is the love of my life. And I just imagined her being so uncomfortable, and so suddenly she was Sansa. Like, anyone can betray anyone, and that's basically what Game of Thrones is. Everybody's like cutting each other off at the knees. I knew Shade wasn't dead. Like, the second they mentioned that he died, I gasped. But then I was like, was he really executed? And especially when they were talking about they couldn't find his body or they cremated his body, I was like, okay, alright. And the second he was on the train, I was like, I was so pleased. I knew they wouldn't kill him off, especially because they discovered that he had the mutation gene. That is something I really want to see developed in the next book. I want to see if all of the people are like Mare. They don't just have an ability, they can create stuff. Like, she can create electricity. Like, are they gonna break off the war with the Lakelanders to fight the Scarlet Guard war? Because they have an entire secret society town of Scarlet Gardeners, Scarlet Guardmen. They could slowly build up an army and then go and attack the king and queen now, because the king is like Joffrey Baratheon. He is headstrong and can rush straight into things that he probably shouldn't. He's probably gonna be really whiny in Glass Sword, and that's how I'm gonna envision him. Like, when he was trying to intimidate Mare in the cell, I just kept imagining Joffrey, little Joffrey. How does it feel, Mare? How does it feel to be betrayed, Mare? With his little crown and his sissy voice and face. In conclusion, Maven is Joffrey, and he will continue to be Joffrey. Queen Alara is Cersei, and Mare is a more kick-butt version of Sansa Stark. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with these characters being Game of Thrones television show characters because that gives me a more vivid image. That was my book talk on The Red Queen. If you have read this book, tell me down below in the comments what you thought and we can discuss it. If you enjoyed this review, give this video a thumbs up, and if you liked it even more, you should subscribe to our channel. I'm Maddie. I'll see you next time. Bye!